Housing is a fundamental right. It's not a speculative investment, in my world anyway. And then the vast majority of British Columbians, I think when they think of housing, they think of it as a safe place to be, to keep you out of the elements and to grow your family or your life. That's not how the BC Liberals look at it. When I became leader and I appointed David Eby as my housing spokesperson, and he went like a terror on the housing sector and said, look at what's happening around us. We see speculative investments. Bloomberg News and famously put in a headline, get out of gold and get into condominiums in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. When your housing stock becomes a commodity, you've got a problem on your hand. When we raised these issues in the legislature, when David Eby was highlighting the extraordinary explosion in the cost of single-family homes in Vancouver, the response from the Liberals was to laugh it off and say, you don't like people having equity. It was nothing to do with that. It was people were being priced out of the market in the purchase of a house. But that also meant that people were building, the development community was building condominiums to sell rather than units to rent. I don't want to trivialize the homelessness crisis, but we are having a broader affordability challenge when it comes to housing and the whole continuum of just finding single occupancy opportunities for individuals who are in distress. We have families that are living in one-bedroom apartments and a second or third child on the way, and they have no prospects. There's nowhere for them to go because housing costs are absolutely out of control. And that's why when they look at their fixed-term lease that the Liberals said they were going to fix, but we just shut the legislature and they didn't fix it, when your landlord says to you, well, I'm going to change the lease and I've just bumped up your rent, and you look at your hydro bill, that's how homelessness happens. And that's why it's critically important that when we look at housing, we look at the entire continuum of housing, not just those that are currently homeless that we want to get into shelter, but those that are on the edge of becoming homeless. And those are what used to be called the middle class. And this inequality in our society is the biggest challenge that the new government will have. And in fact, it's the biggest challenge British Columbia has.